Hi, we're out in the field and we're very close to a campground, so please bear with all kinds of noise you hear in the background. And recently a company that calls themselves Nutrient Survival contacted me and asked if I would evaluate some of their survival food. I told them I would, so they sent me some. Now we got to keep in mind a few things. One, these people are not a corporate sponsor. They asked if I would review their product, and I'm reviewing it. Also keep in mind that because we're going to do some cooking, things will have to be done in real time, and even more so than usual, you'll have to put up with my Shatner-esque pauses and my speech impediment and everything else that's going on in the background. Now what they sent me is some packets of dehydrated stuff. There's apple cinnamon oatmeal and some scrambled egg type things. They also sent me some cans. Now this is chocolate chip cookie meals. I didn't know what that was either, so we opened the can, and what it is individually wrapped chocolate chip cookies, but they're all fortified with vitamins and minerals. It's kind of like a meal replacement bar in chocolate chip cookie form. Now we also have vitamin powdered milk, vitamin egg powder, and the meal we're going to cook tonight, hearty lasagna. So let's get our stove set up, get this stuff put away, open our can, and see what's in here. So we've got some water heating on the stove. I opened up the can of lasagna, and here's what it looks like. I hope it looks a little better after it's rehydrated and heated up. Now the instructions are specific. The ratio is 1 cup of lasagna to ½ cup of boiling water. So we have to give our water some time to boil. Now while we're waiting for our water to boil for our lasagna, we're going to try something else. They sent me this box of something called vitamin coffee. Now in this box is a bunch of these little pouches of instant coffee. And this instant coffee is fortified with 13 essential vitamins. And the instructions say to add this to 8 to 12 ounces of hot or cold water. So we'll dump that in like so, and we'll let that heat up. And once it gets hot, Brad will try it because I'm not much of a coffee drinker. Well, Brad just informed me that he hates coffee, so Lance is going to try our instant coffee.
Smells okay. It's really hot. I've had better, but it's all right. It needs cream and sugar.
Okay, well they sent us some dehydrated vitamin milk, so we'll put some of that in there and add some sugar and try this again. So we'll carefully put in just a little bit of sugar. That ought to do it. Now let's try some of our dehydrated vitamin milk. And while I'm opening this vitamin milk, is a good time to remind you that having a can opener is really necessary. I've got one on my Swiss Army knife, but you might want to invest in a little more high-tech can opener. And here's what our powdered milk looks like. It looks like powdered milk. And we'll put a little bit in our coffee. And now Lance will give that a try.
All right, we'll see if this is any better. It looks a little better. Smells a little better. That's better. Yeah.
Is it better than no coffee?
Maybe.
Okay. Now I know I said I'm not much of a coffee drinker, but I'm going to try this. And it reminds me why I'm not much of a coffee drinker. However, as coffee with cream and sugar goes, this isn't too bad. But sometimes there are things that really shouldn't go together, like you're fortifying your coffee with vitamins. It might be better to just have coffee and then have a jug of vitamins. Now this is one of those crucial moments where it has to happen in real time because I can't put the pasta into the water twice. And we have to remember that the instructions are explicit, 1 cup of this product for every ½ cup of water, so you really do have to measure it carefully. Another very important thing is, in a lot of dehydrated foods, there's a desiccant pack, and you've really got to find that. And so we'll mix in our lasagna. Let's take a close-up look at it. We'll just mix that in. and it will hydrate over the course of a few minutes. Okay, well, we're going to give this a try. Let's take a close-up look at what our lasagna looks like. Does it look appetizing? Depending on how hungry you are, maybe yes. And now let's serve up some of this. Bring the plate over. Okay, Lance. Now, there's a saying, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Some people will say it wrong and say the proof is in the pudding. No, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So, we'll have our proof in a couple of minutes. Okay, I haven't tasted this yet.
So the sauce is okay. Noodles don't taste good. And the meat doesn't taste good.
I wouldn't say they taste bad, they just don't have a lot of taste, but the sauce has some pep to it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It seems a little lacking in spice to me,
Okay.
but I think like backpacking, delicious, car camping, maybe just below that.
I'll consider that this is survival food. How does it stack up compared to MREs?
Ooh. Depends on the MRE, but
Having eaten quite a few MREs, I can tell you it's better than a lot of them, not as good as some of them.
yep.
But coming in a can, that means it's going to be impervious to wet. It means that rodents and other vermin can't get into it. And yes, rodents do get into MREs. So canned survival food like this does have its advantages. But as far as this particular product, I'm going to say way better than nothing.
There's that.
So tomorrow morning at breakfast, we'll try their dehydrated egg powder and see what kind of omelet we can make. I almost forgot, now that we've finished our lasagna, we have to have our cookie dessert. So, give these a whirl. Now they're individually wrapped, that's a plus. And it's not just a chocolate chip cookie, it's a meal replacement vitamin cookie. And before I even try it, I have to point out that my philosophy is that cookies should be soft and chewy. Which it is. Pardon me for talking with my mouth full, but yeah, it's chewy all right.
It kind of tastes like a healthy cookie.
Yeah, like a power bar,
Yeah.
which is what it's supposed to be.
I'm getting some Rice Krispie vibes from this. I think it's pretty pleasant.
It's just chocolate. Okay, that's not bad.
I'll eat the whole thing.
Now it's the next morning, we're still in the field, and we're going to try some of our Nutrient Survival breakfast items, starting with Nutrient Survival Feed Your Freedom Hearty Apple Cinnamon Oatmeal. Now this contains creamy whole grain oats, organic golden quinoa, I must confess a complete ignorance as to what that is, sweet apples, and a dash of cinnamon. Pouches like this can be very convenient. It's a single serving pouch, you can carry a bunch of these in your pack, but they have their downsides. Sometimes pouches like this while in your pack can get punctured, and when one of them gets punctured, and I discover that because I go to get in my pack and my pack is full of red ants, that's really no fun. So they do have some downsides, but they have some upsides as well. But let's give this a try. Now, according to the instructions, I'm going to put this in a cup or bowl and then add 1/3 cup of boiling water. And we'll carefully measure out our 1/3 cup of boiling water. stir that, and the instructions also tell me that I should let that sit for 2 or 3 minutes. So we'll let it sit and give it a try. And now it's been 3 minutes. Let's see how it tastes.
Not hard.
And to be blunt, it tastes very bland. Now we have the same kind of package, the same instructions, but this is Chocolate Grain Crunch, which contains organic crisp rice, sorghum and quinoa with rolled oats in a rich cocoa crunch. Let's give this a try. And let that sit for 2 to 3 minutes. And now it's been about 3 minutes, and we'll taste our chocolate crunch. To be blunt, I can barely taste the difference between the chocolate crunch and the apple cinnamon oatmeal. And again, the taste is just bland. The next item on our list isn't a breakfast item. This is triple cheese mac, which is creamy pasta loaded with a trio of sharp cheddar, white cheddar, and Parmesan cheeses with a hint of thyme and basil. Now this has the same instructions. You put this in the cup or bowl, add 1/3 cup of boiling water, and let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes. I really like the consistent instructions on the different products. And there's no question that this is very convenient as long as you have the ability to boil water. Okay, let's let that sit for 3 minutes. When I said that the mac and cheese has the same instructions as the other products, I misspoke. You don't let the mac and cheese sit for 2 to 3 minutes, you let it sit for 8 to 10 minutes, which I've now done, so let's give it a try. You definitely have to let it sit for the 10 minutes. Okay, that's not bad. Now it's time to do some serious cooking, so I had to put my Jones cap on. Now we're going to use this vitamin egg powder, and I have to read some of the instructions. If you want 2 eggs worth, you have to put in a 1/4 cup of powder and 1/3 cup of water, and then it goes on to explain if you want 4 and 8 eggs worth. Also, the label reads Special Ops Grade Nutrition. And below that, designed to the nutrient standards of the U.S. Armed Forces. Would this be the same armed forces that issued me the Country Captain Chicken MRE? So take that statement for what it's worth. But the claim is there are 14 vitamins, 8 minerals, 9 amino acids, protein, omega-3 and 6. Now, when I was in school, I learned that a complete protein has 22 amino acids. Some sources will say 20, but I always learned at 22. So we have a complete protein plus 9 amino acids. I don't really understand that, but okay. Now, I've already opened this can, and here's what the product looks like. And it's just a powder. So, get out some of our powder. And we'll mix that with some water. And one of the problems with products like this is mixing them in the field. Obviously, if you had a mixing bowl and a mixer and so forth, or a wire whisk, that would be easier. But I find that I usually don't carry such things in my pack. I'll get this mixed up. And you see how this is turning into a paste. For things like this, it's okay if they're a little runny. And even though the instructions will say certain amounts of this, you have to try it a few times and get it the consistency that you really like. Mixy, mixy, mixy. Now, powdered egg products like this can be, once they're mixed up, used in baking. You can use this instead of having to carry real eggs if you want to make a cake in the field, which, as we've seen before, I have done. But if you're just going to eat these as eggs, we're going to fry them up in this frying pan. So get that all mixed up. We have to keep this from sticking to our frying pan. So we've already opened our can of red leaf butter, and this is just butter like you'd buy in the refrigerated section of the grocery store, but it's in a can. And when it comes to keeping eggs from sticking, I like to be generous with the butter. And we'll wait a minute while our butter melts. And again, bear with me, this has to be done in real time, so we don't get any do-overs. So we've got our pan hot and our butter sizzling. We'll put in our egg mix. Spread that out a little bit. And if I do this right, that might be a big if, we'll see if we can make ourselves something that's kind of, sort of, a little bit like an omelet, more or less. Now remember, this is just egg powder. So we're going to put some salt in there. Hopefully give it a little bit of taste. And some pepper. And this is one of those products that I'd say you really have to not buy a can of it. You have to buy 2 cans, use up the first can, testing it, and practicing with it, and then use the second can in the field. Looks like my omelet plan might have been a little bit optimistic. That's looking fairly good. So turn off our heat. And I'll find a plate and we'll give it a try. Okay, and now Nathaniel and Lance and I will give these a try. It actually has the consistency of scrambled egg.
Mm-hmm. Just a slightly heavier duty scrambled egg.
Yeah.
That's what it tastes like.
Which could have been changed if I'd mixed the egg powder with a little bit more water.
I think this one is seasoned pretty dang well. Also,
And I put salt and pepper in it.
Mm-hmm. Not bad.
Okay, I think we have a winner. And remember, you can do things with it other than just scrambled eggs. So our nutrient survival items, kind of hit and miss. The egg powder, definitely good. And remember, it's versatile. It can be used for things other than just scrambled eggs. A lot of the other stuff, not so great, mainly in that it just didn't have much taste. So I would say if you're going to carry products like this in the field, you should also pack salt, pepper, and some Tabasco sauce. But a big plus of these things is that in the field, nutrition is extremely important and often woefully neglected. So that nutrient survival fortified these things with all kinds of vitamins and minerals, big plus. So, as always, don't try this at home on what you call a professional. Thanks for watching the Nutrient Survival in the Field Food Evaluation.